Thank you so much. Good morning all, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much to the Norte Surf Fest organization for allowing me to be here and to share this with you. And I will start with some bad news. Actually, it's not sustainability in every wave, but the problem is that sustainability is no longer enough. Too much damage has been done to our planet, and so we need to go beyond sustainability. We need to go regenerative, okay? And I will explain you why. Okay, so point one, GDP, it's basically an economical variable that doesn't encompass everything we should take into consideration when we are developing a business or governing a country, okay? It doesn't take into consideration the social aspects, impacts, the cultural impacts, okay? It only looks at the economical impacts. Normally it is a top-down decision-making process when it should be the other way around. So when we're talking about regenerative tourism, it's the other way around, okay? Another thing I would like to highlight with you is that why is not sustainability is enough? Because the main goal is basically to do little to no harm. But as too much damage has been done, we need to go beyond that, okay? I don't know if you know this scheme, it's about donut economics. It shows us the difference between sustainability and regeneration, okay? Some information about regeneration is started with agriculture, and it has been expanded to the different areas of our lives, okay? And what you see there between those darker green circles is the borders in which we must exist. So another piece of bad news, it's not about us, it's about everything. In order for us to exist, we need the planet. Without the planet, we don't exist. We don't have quality of life, quality of living, sorry, okay? So, and the donut economics shows this. So if we are able to put our planet in a sustainability mode, let's say, okay, we need to do everything in balance. So yes, sustainability would be enough. But again, I say for the third time, as too much damage has been done, we need to do regeneration, okay? We need to recover woods, we need to recover oceanic, between commas, woods, okay, in order to have the quality of our environment back, okay? So again, it talks about going beyond GDP, so we need to take into consideration those four variables I just mentioned to you. I'll say it again: environmental, social, cultural, and of course economics, okay? And another thing that the donut economics shows us is that everything is connected. We should never forget that. If we have imbalances, for example, from a social standpoint, it will create imbalances in the environment, as we can see nowadays. Many of the people in the world, many of humans in the world, only have economical focus. But the real entrepreneurs, for me, the real entrepreneurs are the ones that when they start a business, they think about all these variables. What my impact will be in terms of environment, social, cultural, and also, of course, economic, okay? No one creates a business to lose money, but when they think about making money, it should be how they think about it. I'm going to be a bit political now, sorry if I'm harming anyone, you know what I mean? But for example, recently President Trump said something that, okay, Europe is doing something bad, investing in green energy. Sorry to say, how crazy is that? How crazy is that, okay? Another thing I'll share with you, sorry, I'm going a bit personal now. During the campaign, Donald Trump, they had like a couple of posters saying, "Drill, baby, drill." How crazy is that? Okay, we should be thinking about protecting our planet. There's something most of us forget on a daily basis. You know, the best planet in the universe for us is this one. So we should take care of it, yeah? Okay. So, again, we are all interdependent. This is what we're doing to the planet. A lot of unbalances in the world. So again, we need to take all these red areas here and need to bring it down to between those borders of quality of living for us, okay? And this is where we are living. So we have degenerative economies. Most of our economies are degenerative, okay? They are doing harm, okay? Secondly, nothing grows forever. That's a basic flaw in our ever-growing concept of economics. We should always grow, grow, grow. We are in a finite space. So if we are in a finite space, we shouldn't have this kind of, how can I say this, unrealistic goals. Does it make sense so far? Yes or no, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, thank you so much. Very well. Okay, so, but this is a, I share that with you, the URL, you can check it. So this is the Donuts Economics Action Lab. So you have a lot of information there, very important, you can use in your business. When you think about business, you should check this out because a lot of, how can I say this, very interesting tools that you can get there, yeah? Okay, so let's go about regeneration. What is regenerative tourism? Simply put, is leaving the place you visited better than you found it, okay? You should do something about it, okay? So, transformational approach, a basic difference from sustainability is the net positive effects that we hope to accomplish when we practice regenerative tourism. So whenever you're thinking about going somewhere, think it through, okay? How my impact will be, okay? This will be a game changer if everyone in this room, if everyone in the world would do regenerative tourism, we would have a chance. Another piece of bad news. In 2019, scientists said we have 10 years to avoid the increase of the average temperature in the world by 1.5 degrees. 6 years are up, and we are going in the wrong direction. Okay, I'm going political again. Thanks to leaders in major powers in the world, we are going in the wrong way, in the wrong direction, okay? So think about net positive effects. Okay, I'm going to a destination. What can I do to make that place better? And I'll say it again, I'm going forward a bit, okay? It's about equilibrium. So we should think, what can we do from either a social, environmental, cultural, or economical aspect? Economic is always safe there. You always leave money there, okay? But even that money that you leave there, how much will actually stay there for the locals to profit from it? I'll give you a basic example. If you stay in a hotel of a major global chain, okay, most of the money won't stay there. It goes to their stockholders, okay? Whatever you buy there. So when you choose a, I'm doing advertising, by the way, for small businesses. But if you choose a small business that buys from local suppliers, that's being not only sustainable, maybe even regenerative. It depends on the approach they have to their own business, okay? So thinking through when thinking about traveling. So social, what can we do? Later on in my presentation, we have some of the examples more closely related to surf, okay? But I'll give some generic ones for the time being. Social, if you are teaching kids to read, that's, it has social impact, okay? If you are helping gathering, how can I say this, financial support to those communities, that's being social, yeah? Environmental, planting mangroves, this has to do with surf and coastal areas, okay? You are doing something pro the environment. Cultural, it is important for you to actually leave the local culture and not do mass tourism. That's one of the problems with mass tourism. You don't value the culture, the local culture enough. Okay, so you should go into that. And economically, I won't speak too much about it, yeah, okay? So, how do we get there? This graph is a bit too specific, but I needed to bring it and share it with you because it is how specific it is. These are all the elements that exist in life that we should take into consideration. So stakeholders, all the entities, areas that are affected by what we do, okay? So we should take these into consideration and not as a joke. They should be brought to the table when we are making a decision, okay? Yeah, how do we call fungi to our conversation? We don't, but we call experts to talk about it. What's the impacts that we are having in those locations, okay? All of them should be represented when we are making a decision, at a local level or a national level or at a world level, okay? That's why we still have United Nations, okay? So all of those places are opportunities for us to take into consideration all of these stakeholders, because without the other stakeholders, we don't exist. Without, I'm sure you all know, without little bees, we don't have food. Bees and other pollinizers, yeah? So far so good? Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, very well. So never forget about this. Never forget that there are other stakeholders that should be brought into decision making. And that takes us to governance, okay? Governance is about bringing actually all stakeholders to the decision-making table, okay? Because, for example, you know better the surf spots than the local authorities. You know, not them. You know what you need, not them. So you should be at the table. Scientists should be at the table, and so forth. Local communities should be at the table, okay? So that's why it's important. So it should be a place-based tourism. It's about the locals, the local, yeah? Should be bottom-up built. So let's hear what the locals have to say. What are their goals, okay? Because they may have their goals, okay? Imagine, for example, they have no surf, but they want to develop surf at their location, okay? I read somewhere, I hope that's not false, Madrid is building an artificial park for artificial waves, a park for artificial waves, okay? Something like that. So they don't have surf, but they wanted surf, so they are going to have surf. You know what I mean? Yeah? What else? Long-term collaborative challenges, and decisions. You should also increase the capacity of the stakeholders to make informed decisions. For example, we call to our table a representative from the scientific community that doesn't know much about surf. So we should enlighten them. This is what we do, this is what we need, how can we make it work? Okay, so we should share information so that everyone is duly informed, yeah? What else? Implies shared commitments, terms, roles. Okay, everyone should be there with the same approach, okay? When you're talking about governance, we talk about giving the opportunity to everyone to speak and to participate in the decision-making process, yeah? Some examples of, let's say, standard hospitality, okay? So we have the Red Sea Global. This is in the Middle East. This is a major investment. It's a lot of money involved, huge amounts of money involved, but they, according to them, they are going to be 100% independent in terms of energy production, and they are doing the recovery of seabeds and oceanic animal life, yeah? So they are doing that work of recovery. Then we have Blue Apple Beach, I think it's in Colombia, Bazata Eco Lodge in Egypt, and Rock House in Jamaica, for example. Okay, these are international examples. There are a lot of examples worldwide about regenerative tourism, regenerative hospitality, okay? And I'm going to speak a little more about Gandam Hotel. Gandam Hotel is here in Portugal, okay? And they are, and why did I choose the Gandam Hotel? I chose the Gandam Hotel because they do regenerative agriculture. And it's where it all started, okay? And that's why I think it is important to talk about it. So they are a regenerative hotel, okay? And they do this and other stuff related to regenerative tourism. And now let's analyze some practices that I'm sorry to say, I'm not a surfer, okay? I asked GPT for some assistance, okay? So, but I'm going to analyze with you this impact. So you all know Ericeira, and let's analyze the impacts it has at the social level. So training of local guides, that's a social aspect, it's positive, okay? But I share with you, the green are positive, the white is neutral, the yellow not so good, okay? So cultural, training guides, programs for young people, okay? These are all positive aspects. The impact of surf in Ericeira, and from an economical standpoint, you already know what it is. From the environmental aspect, monitoring is not enough. It's a good thing, not enough, because regeneration needs to come into play, yeah? Then we have Raglan, New Zealand, never been there, sorry, okay? But it's a good example. So from a social standpoint, pressure of housing and services, that's something that, for example, we in Porto are feeling right now. Major issue right now, there are elections coming, and one of the main concerns of people are lodging, habitation, where I'm going to live, okay? Cultural aspect, Maori involvement in coastal governance. That was a major game changer there, okay? They involved the indigenous population, something they should have done a long time ago, but it was a good step forward towards regeneration, towards governance, towards including people in the decision-making process. From an environmental standpoint, management of tourism flows. There is something called carrying capacity, or load capacity, of the tourism destinations that should be taken into consideration. You should know how many tourists are you able to accommodate properly in order not to create imbalances. Economical, again, brought money, okay? But this is what I would like to highlight from Regland. It has to do with managing the flow. Tofino, British Columbia, Canada. Again, from the social aspect, not so good. Conflicts of use, pressure on cost of living, an issue for locals. Environmental, integration with parks and reserves. That was an awesome thing, okay? Recognition of local indigenous communities again. And from an economical standpoint, heavy reliance on seasonal tourism. Not so good for the locals, okay? So when we're talking about regenerative tourism, we should be able to capacitate the locals in order for them to have their own economy and not to be so dependent on tourism, not to be so seasonal. Nosara, Playa Guiones, Costa Rica. Strong presence of surf schools, okay? And local NGOs, by the way, it shouldn't be yellow, sorry, it should be green. Okay? Cultural tensions between expansion and reservation, yes, this is yellow. Okay? Environmental initiatives to protect coastlines and ecosystems, that's a good thing. Okay? It's about the community, we can empower community, yourselves as surfers, you can help when you go to a certain surfing destination, okay? And be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Economical, source of revenue and potential supports for environmental projects. Other regeneration opportunities, sea foresting, mangrove plantations, planning. I found these 3 websites. The most interesting that I think of from a regenerative standpoint was surfrider.org. Okay, there are a lot of work going on, a lot of proposals in order to improve the tourism destinations. And thank you. Thank you so much.